What's up, guys? Jasper here. In today's video, we're gonna be watching Theo and Tucker Carlson discuss their time before sobriety and what it was like for them being so messed up on drugs.
But no, sobriety's been cool for me, man.
But it was tough the first 6 weeks. Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, I think what's tough is like having to quit something, you know?
Yeah.
Having to not have a beer if you need it, having to not like have something to give me a little bit of respite.
Yes,
From
that's
my
right.
own angst.
Yes.
That's a lot of it.
Did you go off everything?
Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with anything except for cocaine. So if I drink, I could have a drink, I'd be fine. I hated drinking. But I know if I have a drink, the only reason I'm going to have it is so I can go. I'll have 4 sips and then I'll go get some cocaine. And then I'll be
How did you deal with feeling terrible the next day?
On the cocaine?
Yeah.
Oh, poorly, brother. Begging people for Gatorade over text message.
Yeah.
It was horrible, dude. Yeah, and this was some of this. They didn't have that.
It's a high-cost drug.
Yeah.
And not just on the front end, on the back end.
Yeah, the next day was horrible. The things I'd have to apologize for.
Yeah. What's the freakiest thing you did while on cocaine?
Oh, dude, I'll tell you some. Well, the weirdest thing is I would look for escorts on the internet, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
classic cocaine move there.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Hunter Biden has plowed this furrow before.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Others have been where you were.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I think Hunter even was my plug on some of this. And so but then they would come to my residence. I would be so scared and paranoid. I would take the money and hand it out the door because I didn't want to not pay for the
service.
They drove over.
Right.
So yeah, I would pay them and then I would just be grateful that they weren't there.
So you wouldn't stiff the hooker, but then you wouldn't stiff the hooker.
Yeah. Well played, brother. Yeah. I think, I just felt bad.
You must have been their favorite account.
Well, then sometimes, dude, I had to talk to a lady who speaks another language. That's crazy. Because then you're playing charades. You're fucking high on cocaine.
You were ordering the human trafficking ones?
I wouldn't say that, dude.
Okay.
These people were off the interstate. I would say that. They were
off the interstate.
Yeah, they weren't like.
What do they call them? Lot lizards?
No, they weren't. I think these were decent ladies who were
totally
trying to make $1. Anyway, this didn't get in well, but. But yeah, that was kind of the toughest part because I was just looking for some kind of connection.
Of course.
And
that's a real thing, what you just said. I get that.
I didn't know how to get it.
Because it's isolating. Drugs and alcohol are isolating. You're really about yourself when you're doing them. And part of you wants to reach out and connect with someone else. I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I like cocaine because I needed to control how I felt immediately. That's one reason I didn't like alcohol. Because I was just such a control person that I needed to control how I felt immediately. So cocaine, I could do it immediately. The feeling would be there immediately.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason that I liked it.
But you never got into Xanax or alcohol or anything to help you come down.
No, I wish I had. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think it's legal, but you can.
So I was doing,
you're doing it wrong.
I was just.
You had the wrong kind of cocaine addiction.
Yeah. And most of the shit I was doing, I think it was Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
This shit had, I remember doing an 8-ball of matte finish, So I'm like, this isn't legitimate, some semi-gloss. I'm like, this is for fucking shutters. This is outdoor with it. I've done some very questionable cocaine, so. What was it like for you getting off of it?
I mean, it was awful. It was awful. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. But I'm so grateful that I did. I'm thankful. My brother and I both did, actually.
Wow. So it's in your family? It's a genetic. It's in my family.
We're Swedish, yeah.
Oh, y'all are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The farther north you go on the globe, the higher percentage of people have drinking problems. I mean, that's I think pretty well established fact.
Look at Santa, dude works one fucking day a year.
I mean, the Eskimos. No, I'm serious, and a lot of ancestors from Northern Europe. So yeah, alcoholism is a big thing, and I needed to get off it, and I had all these children and a job on TV, and it's just not compatible with a productive, happy life at all. And I quit, and the first few months were like shocking. I had no help at all.
Really?
Yeah, I did it. at home alone.
Were you not willing to try and have, like, were you that kind of, like, you're like, were you
well, I had a public job, you know, I was an anchor on CNN. And so I just thought, I don't want to get into the whole, like, I'm going to rehab or whatever. Right. I just didn't want to get involved with that. And it was fine. It worked great. And I've never, you know, gone back, and I never would for anything. However, I didn't realize that, and I knew very little about it. This was kind of before I was using the internet. I just didn't know that much about addiction at all.
Yeah.
And I quit, and all of a sudden I had these withdrawal symptoms that were like shocking. My hands are shaking. I feel like I'm going to freak out all the time. Super anxious, super anxious, sweating, heart palpitations. I was like, what is this? And I asked somebody, I didn't tell many people, but I asked somebody, he's like, oh, you're withdrawing from alcohol. And if you start to hallucinate, that means you have the DTs, the delirium tremens, and you need to go to the hospital because you could die. I was like, what? I never got that, thank heaven. But anyway, yeah, it was awful. But then, you know, within like, I don't know, 6 months, I felt great. I started smoking 2 cigarettes at once. I mean, my nicotine problem got a little more intense. But I felt wonderful, and I felt great ever since.
Wow. And did you ever go to meetings? Did you ever get into 12-step or no?
Not one time. But I love it. I just had dinner last night with Bobby Kennedy, who's been in a 12-step program. Russell Brand, same thing, another friend of mine.
I almost went to a meeting at Bobby's house on Tuesday.
Okay, then what a wonderful man he is.
Bobby's a neat guy, isn't he?
He is. He's a very deep person, and he's learned the right things, and people like that make me very pro 12-step. Because like they're just like, I'm not in control of my life, and they're not, because nobody is. Everyone lies about it. Oh, I've got it under control. No, you don't. Oh. You have no freaking idea what you're doing. You can't extend your life by a single day. You're lying to yourself and those around you. Just admit you have no clue. You're doing the best you can. You're a totally screwed up kind of embarrassing person. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And be liberated. And so
you got me.
I strongly believe in that because it's true.
It is the truth. I know. And the rest of it is such a sled we pull.
And it's fake.
And
it's ridiculous. As I always say to my kids, everybody knows who you really are. Everybody already knows what your bad qualities are, and they love you anyway. So don't even try and hide them. I mean, I'm sure you know people who are like alcoholic or bad temper or secretly gay or whatever. And they're like, oh, no one knows. No one knows. It's like everybody knows. Are you kidding? And again, they love you anyway. Yeah. So you don't need to hide it. Just be who you are. And when you are, I mean, you are so liberated. It's this massive weight coming off you. It's like, yeah, kind of fucked up, but, you know, more than some, less than others, but trying. And people are like, that's great.
Yeah.
People are way less judgy than you think they are.
Right. There's some inverse of it, you know, where it's like we think someone's so, but then if we look at the way we look at people, we might have some jokes about it, stuff, but most of the time you have empathy.
Exactly. At dinner 2 nights ago, I'm sitting next to this woman, and she said something about, it was a long story, but basically it was about a woman gaining weight. And I said to her, you know, I've never been in a group of just men on a hunting trip or, you know, where it's just men.
Yeah.
Where someone's like, she had a fat ass. It's like men have the widest strike zone imaginable. Men like women, heterosexual men like women. Mm-hmm. They don't judge their appearance very harshly at all. They kind of tend to like all sorts of women.
That's true.
And if you knew how non-judgmental men were about women's appearances, you would relax. But of course, you don't care what men think about your appearance. You only care what other women think about your appearance, and they're very judgy. But it's the same principle. It's like we are less judged than we think we are, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, but but it's not the nature of us to think that we are.
Did you tell people when you quit using cocaine?
Yeah, I did, I think. Let me think. Yeah. Yeah. I did. I told them. Well, I got into meetings. It was been in my family, you know, a lot of my family, it's in my family. So
the cocaine thing,
the drug, just alcohol, childhood, issues, really. A lot of it is a lot of my stuff comes from really intimacy disorders.
Yeah.
Like connectivity disorders. You know, so, but then whenever anything triggers one of those connectivity disorders, then a lot of times it would lead me to doing drugs, you know? So, yeah, I just love it. What I love about it is now I get to see, man, I saw a dude yesterday who just got a 6-month chip, you know, and the guy, man, to see somebody whose life has changed, you get to witness.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Miracles.
I totally agree.
I had
with
a friend call me this morning, right? And we've been friends for years, and we kind of both know that we have some of the same problems. And it was like the first time he like opened up to me, man. And we're both sitting there just kind of crying on the phone. It was just because when he opened up, it just made me feel like I was like, I don't know. I just understood him. And it was like, I don't know. It was just so important.
Well, that's what intimacy is.
Yeah.
I've always thought that we misread intimacy. We think it's when someone tells the truth about other people. It's very easy to tell the truth about other people. It's only when someone tells the truth about himself. It's only when you admit who you really are to someone else that you have intimacy. That's the measure of intimacy. If you're willing to tell someone who you really are, you are intimate with that person, and vice versa. And that's totally the key. So if you want to know how many truly close relationships do I have, that's how you know. How many people am I willing to admit what a schmuck I actually am to? That's the number. And what I love about 12-Step, I've never actually been to 12-Step. I've only heard about it. Actually, I was at Russell Brand's house this summer, and he had a meeting, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Hilarious
so you got to go to
people.
One. Was it?
I didn't stay for it. I had to leave, but they were.
Come on,
one of the guys was smoking, which I love, and just old school. And they were, anyway, but I love the 12-Step thing because you just like it, as with Christianity, which I also like, you admit right away that you are
powerless.
Yeah, exactly. You're not in control.
Your life's unmanageable. That's a nice word that they use a lot because it's like sometimes people are like, man, I'm not powerless. But I'll be like, you know, things are unmanageable for me. The way that they phrased everything, it was just really articulate. But anyway, man, well, congrats on that. Yeah, I think it's interesting and it gives me a better scope to handle my own life, you know, and it definitely gives me more opportunity to look at other people when I'm able to.
Do you find yourself less judgmental? And what about all the guys you used to do cocaine with? Do you still talk to them?
I did it by myself.
Good. That's a fun way to do it.
Fuck yeah.
Chopping outlines at home.
Yeah. I'd change outfits and come back in and be a different guy doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, don't do it. This is for me. You know? Just yelling at the other me.
You're literally doing it alone.
Oh, yeah, brother. I would do it alone, and I'd go hide it somewhere. And I'd be like, I'm going to bed. I'm not doing it anymore. And then I would fucking get up and go find it, you know? And I would do more. And
it does affect your sleep patterns.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
I've heard that, yeah.
Most of my sleep patterns was me praying, dude, that somebody would fucking pour Gatorade down my chimney. I wanted Gatorade.
Why Gatorade?
Just because it's like has electrolytes in it. I would be so dehydrated.
So you're not much of a planner.
No.
You didn't go to Costco ahead of time and just get a pallet of it for home. No,
bro. Did you have some pretty crazy nights or no?
I had a few.
Yeah. Tacky.
Yeah.
Tacky going crazy.
The good news is that, it was a different, I'm 54. So
right, so it was a different time.
In the world that I started working in 91, everyone went to lunch every day. I was a writer at a magazine, and everyone went to lunch for an hour and a half every day, period. I mean, it was a different economy. This was before the corporations took over everything and implanted chips on your phone to listen to your conversation, track your whereabouts. And before we became East Germany, they didn't really know where you were. And it was just a civilized place, and you could just have lunch. And if you drank, it was totally within bounds to have a couple drinks at lunch, you know, and smoke at lunch. And then that could keep going. I'm not saying it was great for productivity, but it was a better country. That's just a fact.
It was some fun.
And so I would just say the great blessing in my life is it definitely erased my memory of a number of years. So I don't have a lot of guilt simply because I don't really remember what I was like, but I don't think very appealing.
Yeah.
Not a great drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you drink, like, even if you're not setting out to, say, use cocaine, you can wind up doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If somebody's got some cocaine, you're going to stay around them until they don't have it anymore, until you have it.
I've heard that. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, that's me right there. I did one time, I was doing some cocaine at the house, and people like, I was like a big vest guy for about 11 months, and
vest with nothing underneath.
Yeah, just fucking.
That's kind of like the Chippendales thing.
Some shades, dude, just chilling in my apartment.
Did you ever dance?
Huh? No, I wouldn't dance. I'd make a smoothie, But which is kind of like dancing, but just
literally
like
nothing underneath it, just the vest.
Yeah, no, just a vest. Yeah, because this was in California too. It was weather permitting.
Yeah, it's totally normal. People. I mean, I remember I grew up in California, and I'd often wear a vest, a silk vest, kind of against my nipples. I liked it.
Dude, remember when silk came out and it was like, remember silk shirts?
Oh yeah.
What a weird thing to say about silk. I can't say I'm surprised though. I think that it's great Theo and Tucker have gotten off the drugs. I think it's a great way to share your experiences on your journey to sobriety. I can't wait to grow up and have an addiction of my own. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.